Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. Routes between Ithaca Airport and JFK in New York City are now available. Our Maggie Hall tells us how this service could impact the region.
Starting this week, flights will begin from Ithaca-Tompkins Regional Airport directly to JFK International. This will open a new direct line to New York City and the rest of the world.
Oh, it will be a huge boost for us. First of all, New York City, for those of us who are going to New York City, we don't think that there's any big deal between flying into Newark or flying into JFK. But for those who are in the city, JFK is far more convenient.
Not only will the direct flights to and from JFK open up Ithaca to downstate New Yorkers, it will open up Ithaca to the rest of the world.
The other opportunity that's very exciting for us is JFK is a major international hub. And so, when you've got international visitors flying into New York City, this now gives them the opportunity to be able to come upstate.
People can now book flights to JFK International through Delta Airlines. The first flight for JFK from Ithaca-Tompkins Regional Airport will depart tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Also for our students, we have a number of Cornell and Ithaca College students who come from the Metro New York City area. So it creates another accessible way for the students to come and go.
For more information, visit flyithaca.com. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Ithaca.
An Elmira man sentenced to 10 years in state prison for a deadly shooting incident from 2021. According to court documents, Edward Baugh has been charged with manslaughter in the death of Bashawn Williams. The shooting happened on West 6th Street in Elmira back in February of 2021, when two men were injured with gunshot wounds. Williams would later die from his injuries. Baugh was originally charged with second-degree murder but pleaded guilty to the lesser charge. Captain Matthew Stevens has bid farewell to the Chemung County Sheriff's Office after 23 years of service. Captain Stevens began his career with the Sheriff's Department as a deputy sheriff and rose through the ranks to his final position as captain of the Road Patrol. His colleagues at the department gave him a final farewell into his retirement after a long and successful run with the office. Two community organizations are coming together to teach people how to save lives. Big Fox's Josh Feldberg was at Robert Packer Hospital in Sayre today ahead of a Narcan training event this week.
Guthrie Hospitals and Casa Trinity are teaming up to provide a Narcan training event for the general public this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Narcan is an overdose reversal medication that, if administered correctly in a timely fashion, can save lives.
So when somebody overdoses on opioids, the most common reason that they die is because they stop breathing. Narcan reverses that opioid effect so that they could start breathing on their own and wake up again. And it's a very time-sensitive thing.
According to the CDC, overdose deaths are up 14% nationally, with Pennsylvania ranking third nationally in overdose deaths. Daniel Keisel, clinical supervisor for Casa Trinity, has experienced the effects of opioid overdoses firsthand.
So I am personally in recovery myself. I've been clean for a little bit over 10 years. I'm alive today because of Narcan. I've been Narcan twice throughout my life. May 19, 2015, I buried a little brother to an overdose, and no one was there that had Narcan available. So this is a personal mission for me to educate and to be able to provide support to the community members that need a little extra assistance.
The training event will teach community members how to properly administer Narcan nasal spray and how to identify the signs of an opioid overdose.
Oftentimes there's not enough education that's supported to community members. So what we want to do is we want to bring this cause closer to home. We see a lot of the stuff that happens nationwide, but not necessarily what happens in Bradford County.
If you are interested in attending the event, you can RSVP by contacting Guthrie by January 10th. Registered attendees will receive a free Narcan kit upon completion of the training. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Sayre.
Today, the Junior League of Greater Elmira Corning gave away diapers and menstrual products. The products were given out to people in need of them at Family Services of Chemung County. In the past, the organization has given away 15,000 diapers and 12,000 menstrual products at events like these. Thousands of nurses walk off the job at 2 hospitals in New York City. Dozens of registered nurses began picketing outside Mount Sinai Hospital in East Harlem Monday morning, where some 3,600 nurses went on strike. Another 3,500 nurses at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx are also refusing to work. The nurses are calling for fair pay, but emphasized better working conditions and more adequate staffing is their main concern.
We are here just really for our patients. We want our patients safe. We want our patients cared for properly. We don't want to compromise our care for our patients. We just want to be there for them. And doubling patients on our end is not going to be the way.
Governor Kathy Hochul released a statement asking for binding arbitration and calling on the Department of Health to enforce nurse staffing requirements under the law. President Biden is in Mexico for a summit of North American leaders. That follows what may have been his first ever stop at the U.S.-Mexico border. As Doug Luzader reports, his new focus on immigration is running into critics from both sides.
Now, the timing here is interesting because the president has tried to keep his distance from the border, but the growing crisis there has made it almost impossible to ignore. Mexico literally rolling out the red carpet for President Biden, who emerged from Air Force One ready to face a range of difficult issues this week, and chief among them, immigration.
They need a lot of resources, and we're going to get them for them.
On his way to Mexico, he visited El Paso, Texas, in what may have been his first ever stop to the southern border. Illegal crossings have skyrocketed over the past 2 years, and critics have hounded the president to see the crisis there firsthand. And when Texas Governor Greg Abbott welcomed Biden, he also handed him a letter.
I told him how thousands of Texans have lost their lives, that tens of thousands of Texans have had their lives destroyed.
Now, the president did just announce new border policies in an effort to dissuade illegal crossings, something some Democrats have objected to. And at the same time, he blamed the GOP.
If the most extreme Republicans continue to demagogue this issue and reject solutions, I'm left with only one choice: to act on my own.
But Biden's tour did not include the hardest hit areas, and many pointed to evidence that some parts of El Paso had been conspicuously sanitized ahead of his arrival. And today, a bipartisan group of senators will visit El Paso, part of an effort in Congress to find a fix that has eluded lawmakers for decades. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
We want to give a shout out to the Elmira Renegades. The team won their first game in franchise history this weekend against the Syracuse Spark. After a thrilling 16-11 game, the Renegades now sit at 1-1 on the season. The next home game for Elmira's newest sports team will be January 21st at First Arena. Still ahead, your complete work week forecast. Plus this.
A flying boat and a $10,000 smart toilet are just some of the thousands of inventions trying to change the future of tech. I'm Jackie Ibanez with highlights from this year's Consumer Electronics Show. It's coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, over the last week, we've been bringing in some big changes across portions of New York, especially when we started off the month with those well above average temperatures, even climbing well into those 50s, bringing temperatures nearly 20 to 25 degrees above average. Now, over the weekend, we did bring in some slight cooling, still kept temperatures upwards of 5 degrees above average, and that's where we're going to continue to remain here as we step through this week with small ups and downs when it comes to this temperature trend. What we are seeing in places that there was some areas of sunshine, but we are noting that the overcast skies skies have been moving in, as we are noting that a west-northwesterly wind is going to tap into the region and keep temperatures slightly cooler, especially with the lack of sunshine limiting some of the warming that will be in store as we head into that Tuesday forecast. So we'll note that Tuesday we'll start off with those temperatures just around that freezing mark. Again, still well above average. We really haven't seen those teens for low temperatures really at all in these overall forecasts. Some of those cooler, clear mornings, but for the most part, this is still a pretty mild forecast. Now, we will stay underneath some seasonal conditions as we start off into the 30s. We are expected to stay just around those mid-30s into the afternoon, as again, those cloudier skies will limit that warming. Now, we'll stay underneath those quiet and cloudy skies at least through Wednesday, but we will be keeping our eye on our next system as it will be looking to intensify as it works its way up the northeast, which is going to bring some potential wintry mix at onset. However, temperatures are looking mild enough that we are going to stay strictly some rain showers at onset and could potentially bring in some light snow showers behind this system. But now looking at any Arctic air to really fill in, continuing and going to see temperatures at or above average. So as we roll into that Tuesday forecast, again, overcast skies hold on. So with the temperature starting off at a 31 into the morning, you only climbed about 36 degrees, and that's just with sunlight at least within the atmosphere, but not with much of that breaking through the cloud cover. We won't see much of that significant warming. And on top of that, we also have light winds. Now, the winds are going to continue to come out of the west-northwest, so any stronger wind out of the west-northwest would have given us more cooling. So for the most part, though hitting 36 degrees, that's where we should be this time of the year when it comes to averages. That holds to about 34. So across the region, we all stay underneath those cloudy skies with temperatures just around those mid-30s. Into our Wednesday forecast, we will be underneath maybe an area of some sunshine or two, but you'll note that we will get back into a southwesterly wind ahead of this low pressure system, which is going to give us a chance to see those 40s in place. There might be some weak precipitation that develops along a warm front, but for the most part, we'll be keeping an eye on the actual arrival of that low pressure system as we head into our Thursday forecast, where we'll continue to warm back up into those mid-40s. We'll put wintry mix there because at onset there could be some, but with temperatures mid-30s to those upper 40s, or low 40s, excuse me, mostly rainfall expected from that. Backside of that system could maybe shake out a few snow showers possible, a little cooling in that forecast, but overall still staying near seasonal for this time of the year with more warming expected into next week.
The 2023 Consumer Electronics Show might be over, but the creativity behind this year's inventions is just beginning to inspire the technology of the future. Jackie Ibanez takes a look at some of the amazing gadgets.
The 2023 Consumer Electronics Show going out with a bang, or in the case of this flying boat, a splash.
Behind us we see the Candela C8, which is the first long-range and high-speed electric boat.
The craft uses airplane-type wings called hydrofoils to lift the hull out of the water, letting the boat cruise above choppy waves while conserving its power.
These hydrofoils reduce the energy consumption by 80% compared to a conventional boat, and that means that we can squeeze out more miles at high speeds.
It's just one of the thousands of inventions showcased this weekend at CES in Las Vegas, where this hands-free $10,000 smart toilet also promised to impress.
Amazon Alexa is built into the product, allows you to play music, you can play your favorite podcast, check the news.
Another gadget aiming to make life easier is this exoskeleton suit. Armed with artificial intelligence, the pack learns the body movements of its wearer and helps make lifting heavy objects a breeze.
Also, we're expanding into healthcare, especially for elderly care, and as well into construction work.
Meanwhile, these gold-plated pearl earrings aren't just jewelry. They're wireless headphones, offering music lovers style and function. Sunday marked the end of CES 2023, but officials say the themes of sustainability and simplicity found in many of the inventions shown could inspire the next generation of tech.
American Airlines plans to ground service in 3 cities. U.S. farmers win the right to repair their own John Deere equipment, and the iPhone turns 16. CJ Papa has those stories in today's Business Briefs.
American Airlines now dropping 3 more flight routes from their service this spring due to low demand and the ongoing pilot shortage, cutting service to Columbus, Georgia, Del Rio, Texas, and Long Beach, California. American Airlines has dropped 19 cities from its routes since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Machinery company Deere & Co., which does business as John Deere, will now allow farmers to repair their own farm equipment or take it to independent repair shops. It comes after the company signs a memorandum to give farmers the resources to repair their own high-tech tractors. Farmers previously criticized the company for forcing them to pay out-of-pocket fees to pricey repair shops instead of letting them handle it themselves. And it's been 16 years since Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone to the world. That first phone had a camera with just 2 pixels and a 3.5-inch screen. Critics said it was too expensive and would never catch on. To date, it's estimated over 2.2 billion iPhones have been sold. That's business. I'm CJ Papa.
Twitter makes further staff cuts, according to a new report. The dismissals were in the trust and safety team. Employees in that unit moderate posts and comments on the platform connected to harassment and hate speech. The company had already laid off about 3,700 employees since November. Twitter's vice president says this most recent cut can be credited to, quote, areas that lacked sufficient volume. She adds that the company has thousands of employees who work in content moderation. Goldman Sachs could be laying off more than 3,000 workers this week. According to Bloomberg, the bank plans to cut 3,200 jobs as part of a wave of cost-cutting on Wall Street after a big slump in deal-making. Those layoffs amount to nearly 7% of Goldman's 49,000 employees on its payroll as of September. Goldman's executives have been planning since at least December to slash thousands of jobs. Still ahead, with the new year in full swing, economists say don't forget to make sure that your resolutions also focus on your finances. How you can avoid stress while also preparing your wallet for the rest of 2023. Even though 2023 is now in full swing, it's not too late to update those resolutions. Jackie Ibanez takes a look at why economists say it's smart to review your finances as the new year begins, and how you could stack up some savings while avoiding headaches.
We're now more than a week into the new year, and while our resolutions may include getting into shape or picking up a new hobby, economists say it's also important we make resolutions to our finances.
I think 2023 is going to be a challenging year economically. We're facing inflation. We're facing the Federal Reserve that's going to continue to hike interest rates, which means that borrowing costs are going to continue to go up.
Joe Fitter, business professor at Indiana University, says it starts by understanding how your expenses impact your income.
Make sure that we're not spending more than we have coming in.
But while making a budget could help you rein in your spending, discussing money can be stressful. Instead, Christine Whalen of the University of Wisconsin-Madison recommends humanizing the experience.
Creating a family budget actually can be a way of talking about what matters most to you as a family. Instead of being this sort of blah, daunting thing, it can be hopefully a pleasurable exploration of real possibilities.
And if something isn't in your budget, Whalen says you may want to think twice about the buy now, pay later trend.
Research suggests that when we pay now, take the pain up front, and then we enjoy later, we can actually consume happiness a lot better.
Besides budgeting, Fitter suggests focusing on your long-term investment activities.
Like putting money away for our 401k or other retirement savings.
But if you're finding it hard to save for your future, economists recommend using 2023 to work on lowering any debt you may have.
New and pending law changes could help restaurant workers earn more. A report says half of U.S. states will raise minimum wages this year. In California, depending on a legal battle, fast food workers could earn up to $22 an hour. Those wage gains came under California's passage of the FAST Act. New York and Michigan could pass similar laws this year. Higher pay could offset shortages in labor in the restaurant industry. Restaurant employment was down about 4% in November, but average hourly wages reached $18.99 an hour. Mattel's Fisher-Price brand announces another recall of its Rock and Play sleepers. It includes about 4.7 million of the sleepers, and comes after at least 8 more deaths that occurred after the original recall in 2019. The product was launched in 2009 and was first recalled a decade later after more than 30 infant fatalities were reported. A total of about 100 deaths have reportedly occurred while infants were in those sleepers. The product was sold in major stores across the U.S., including Walmart and Target, and online at Amazon from September 2009 through April of 2019. Putting kids in sports may not only help them physically, but mentally as well. A new study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics surveyed more than 2,400 kids. It found reductions in depression when they were involved in supervised exercise programs. Researchers discovered that those over the age of 13 benefited from exercise programs the most. The researchers found links between physical activity and improvement of overall mood, since exercise releases positive chemical signals to the brain. Stay with us. We'll have more after the break. We want to leave you with a smile. If you're a Reese's lover, there's a new way you can enjoy the treat. New frozen desserts will be sold at retailers across the country. They include Reese's Peanut Butter Light Ice Cream, Reese's Chocolate Frozen Dairy Dessert, and the Reese's Peanut Butter Sandwich. There's also the Reese's Peanut Butter and Chocolate Cones and the Reese's Peanut Butter Frozen Dessert Cup. Many of the treats feature a peanut butter swirl. Pricing for those items is reportedly less than $8. I'm Scott Beadle. Thanks so much for watching.